Welcome to the MFS Wellness Podcast, a hybrid structure encompassing health, fitness, self-improvement, and entertainment, where no topic is off limits and all opinions are graciously welcomed.
Let's get on with the show!
And now, here's the host of the show, Mike Sinopoli.
Welcome to the MFS Wellness Podcast. I am Mike Sinopoli, certified nutrition coach, consultant, counselor, call me whatever you would like. On this episode, I want to talk about what happens when you have high motivation, you look in the mirror, and you don't like what you see, you're sick of it, you're fed up, and you just want to change your entire life. You want to overhaul the whole thing. You want to start working out 2 hours a day. You want to eat nothing but chicken, rice, lettuce, broccoli for the next 2 years. And you just will do whatever it takes to change your body so that what you see in the mirror makes you feel happy. The problem with this is that it's called fleeting motivation. And the problem with fleeting motivation is that it's something that will hit you from time to time and it won't stay. That's why it fleets. And it hits hard. You actually feel like you can do this. You feel as if you can go ahead and get rid of all the crap that you've been eating. You can not worry about those events that have delicious food. You can get rid of the alcohol. You can go to the gym like a psycho for 3 hours a day and just go and go crazy. The problem here is that this leads to nothing but frustration, burnout, and unrealistic expectations. All the time. And it's constant and it happens everywhere. And what happens is you go and find something that looks extreme, that looks like it's going to do something for you quickly, rapidly. You're going to pay a bunch of money for it, and it's going to be restrictive. It's going to be miserable. It's going to be not for you because it wasn't made for you. The diet you choose, the program you choose, what you pick. You're going to just go for it. You're going to be in that moment. You're going to spend money. You're going to sign up at a gym. You're going to do an Orange Theory class. You're going to do Whole30. You're going to go into keto. You're going to do all these crazy cleanses and detoxes and all this stuff because you have the fleeting motivation. You want to overhaul your life overnight. The problem is that it usually hits maybe Monday morning, and by Thursday afternoon, you no longer have the motivation. It has gone. It's fleeted. It's taken off. It goes away into the sky, waiting to hit you again, probably on another Monday morning after a binge-type weekend. Because what happens is this usually hits. It did for me when I would get this feeling. Usually after a weekend where you've gorged, you probably drank, maybe you're hungover on Monday morning, you're trying to fit in your work pants. You ate pizza twice. You don't even remember what you ate because you were at the bar and it was blackout time, and suddenly you just feel like crap and you want to change your life. Now, that's nothing wrong with wanting to do that, but to what extreme can be an issue? To such an extreme that you want to go overnight, you just want to change it all. It doesn't work like that. What you need to do is take that fleeting motivation and dial it down and commit to a process. Don't think about the result. When you think about the result, the end game, there is no end game for this. That's the thing. There is no end game. You just want to, bam, and the next day you want to just look like a freaking physique competitor or a model or something like that the next day. That is impatient. This fleeting motivation, it drives impatient mentality, and it won't happen. The problem is you can do all that too. You can go ahead and work out 3 hours a day. You can go on some diet you hate, and you still won't hit the goal, look, weight, feel that you want in the amount of time you want based on that mentality because you want it now. So what you can do is dial this thing down. Look, all right, look, this is what I'm doing. This is making me unhappy. I need to change something. And literally, you got to commit to the long term. You got to understand that baby steps are better than beast mode. That's something that's just so true because, if you are not feeling well about yourself and you need to make a change and you're not doing really anything, instead of starting to take things away from you, like start removing your favorite foods and stop going to parties and stop socializing and stopping everything. That's usually a path to failure because you're restricting and taking and eliminating and saying goodbye, and then you feel deprived and you just sit there and you're like, is this really worth it? Yet the weight hasn't moved yet because it takes time. So you're in the deprivation. Now you're depriving yourself. Excuse me while I stutter. You're depriving yourself while you're still not happy with your current physique. So what you want to do is kind of ditch the extremes and go ahead and find a balance. And that's going to be body acceptance as is. That's number one. Accept your body for what it is and say, this is okay. This is the worst I'm ever going to look. Tell that to yourself in the mirror. This is the worst I'm ever going to look. I'm not going to look much different in a week. I'm not going to look that much different in a month. I'll start seeing changes around that. About 30 days is when you start seeing it. You could start by adding things. Taking walks. Literally, if you're not active, start walking. Just start walking. Start with 15 minutes. Then graduate on to 20 and 30 and whatever you can do. Just move more. Start there. Then, as opposed to like a deep calorie restriction, which is the best way for fat loss, is a calorie deficit, like I've explained a million times. What you could do is start adding protein into your diet. Start hitting a protein count. That could be fun. Like you might find new sources of protein you really like. And hit 100 grams, 120 grams, 180 grams. Depends who you are. It depends if you're a man or a woman and your goals and all that stuff. Try to hit the protein. Now you're adding food, okay? And then you do that and you keep progressing in that way. Then you take on strength training. Add that in. Maybe you learn to love it. Find what you like. Start with it one day. Don't even start with a 6-day split routine, bro split with 2 days of legs, 2 days of chest, 2 days of back. You're going to start with all this. You're doing nothing right now. You need to not do that. You need to go for 1 or 2 days, acclimate yourself to the gym. That's what you want to do. But if you try to do it all overnight and you get to the gym, you go an hour, balls out on the treadmill, sweat through your shirt. You really feel like you're doing it. You're feeding that fleeting motivation feeling that's not going to stay with you throughout it. That's the thing. It doesn't stay with you. It's not your friend. It's a tease. It comes and it goes. So what you need is a discipline. You need to find that discipline in order to succeed, basically, in what you want to do. You have to realize that you're going to compromise with your own self. You basically want to accept that right away. And you want to look at the process, not the result. You want to find a process that works for you, a lifestyle change. Because we can all go ahead and look at the result and say, oh, I want that. Okay, that's how they market you. They put some ripped guy or some bikini model on a package, on a program with some powder and a bunch of nonsense that they tell you to do, and it's miserable, and that's what they do. They're selling to you, and you fall into it because the fleeting motivation tells you should. Because I want to look like that. I need that. I'm going to do that, even though it is trying to fit a square peg into a round hole for your life. Now, I'll tell you a story about myself. When I was 15 years old, I wanted to be a guitar player. I wanted to be a rock star, okay? So what did I do? I saved some money, I had a job. I went up to a used music store. I bought an amp and a bass guitar. And did I take lessons? No, I did not. Did I look for technique and how to play and learn music and learn to read music and learn how things are combined? Anything about music? I did not. I simply began playing it, downloaded tablature off of the internet, and taught myself a bit. The problem here was I wasn't consistent. I didn't want to put in the work. I didn't want the process. I wanted the end result. I wanted to be a rock star, but I never became one because I didn't take on the process. I didn't take lessons. I didn't ask questions. I didn't research the mechanics of what it takes to be a great guitar player. So what did I do? I bought guitars. I bought things. Can I play the guitar? Can I play? Yes, I can. But for as long as I've been playing and had it, the consistency, the will to learn, the will to go, it wasn't there for me. So I am that person that wanted that body, that just wanted the result and didn't do it right, and they didn't want the process. So that's technically a failure on my part, and I'm willing to admit that. I wanted the result. I wanted to be on stage, in front of 20,000 people, and that's what I wanted to be. But I didn't want to take the work, and I didn't want to put it in, and I didn't. And here I am, not a fucking rock star, which is fine. I accept that now. I still have it as a hobby and I enjoy it, but that's okay. I've made peace with that. So that kind of happens when you want the result, but you don't actually want to put in the work, learn, obtain the knowledge, apply it, and go from there. There was a really good little excerpt in a book that I read by Ryan Holiday called Ego is the Enemy. And one of the, it's a series of stories that kind of show how ego affects people, destroys them, and also how some people are humbled. They put their ego aside and they're sort of, they're humbled basically. And one of the accounts was with Kirk Hammett of Metallica. He had gotten signed on to Metallica after they kicked out Dave Mustaine. And what he did there is, Metallica was getting big at that point, and instead of saying, "Wow, look at me, I left Exodus and now I'm a member of Metallica," instead of taking that to his head and thinking he's the greatest guitar player that ever lived and just going with that, he actually hired on Joe Satriani, another phenomenal, one of the greatest guitar players ever, for added lessons and classes with him. And he went and sat with him and worked more on his guitar. He put his ego aside. He could have blown up and gone ahead and done that. So what I'm getting at is, you want to put that away, and no matter who you are or where you're at, you can always learn from somebody. You can always make progress. You can always make changes, but just keep going and find the process to make you successful. Because without the process and doing what you need to do throughout that is everything. That is the long term. That is the sustainability. That is the lifestyle change. That is how you become a new person. And you have to become a new person in your head before your body looks like a new person. So that's sort of the rundown of why I don't believe it's a good idea to overhaul overnight. It's also miserable. You can still be eating foods you like. You can still be doing things you enjoy, just through making small changes here and there, and your progress is happening, but you're still keeping your life intact. Like, who wants to shut down their whole life just to look better in the mirror? You don't. I don't. I think that's what happens and why people quit so quickly with these restrictive diets that don't have anything to do with your life, your preferences. They matter. The right diet for you is not something you're going to Google and find. It's something you're going to have to find inside of you with a trainer, a coach, or on your own if you can do it. Just because some people need a coach or a trainer doesn't mean everybody does, but it always helps correct certain things, because why would you want to sit there and do the wrong thing for 2 years before you take on a coach or trainer, and then they point it out to you and you just sort of pissed away 2 years when it was a simple fix you could have made to change your life? So the process is what matters and what will take you the whole way. That's why you want to take that fleeting motivation that makes you want to just run out of the house and do everything differently. You go to the grocery store and buy a bunch of plain chicken breasts and vegetables, and then all of a sudden you got, by the following week, you got that spinach bag is all friggin' black and gross because you didn't want to touch it because it's just disgusting spinach. And that's what happens. And then you wasted all that food, and, you've ended up at McDonald's twice, 3 times because you bought all this healthy shit that you don't want to eat, and it's no flavor and all that. So it does matter what you're eating preference-wise. So your preference does matter, not just taste, but also convenience to match your lifestyle. We have different jobs that have different availability of when you can eat, how you can eat, where you're at eating. So all of that needs to be assessed and put as a top priority as well. What's realistic? What can I eat all the time that will work for me? And that's really it. And it's a game. It's a process. It takes a long time, and that's what it is. So when you feel that fleeting motivation, that feeling of motivation, it's going to go away. You just tell it it's bullshit. You can literally say that out loud if you want. Say, this is a bullshit feeling. I need to do something more realistic. You got to be realistic with yourself. That motivation feeling it's phony, it's fake, and it's temporary. So what you can do is obviously hire somebody like me or a trainer or another coach, whoever, or do your own research on how to truly change your life. I use a macronutrient flexible dieting is how I would start with clients. Typically, if they're wanting a fat loss goal, we'll get them into a calorie deficit to start, depending on where their diet is and how bad it is. There is times where you just kind of forego that and just assess what they're eating on a daily basis. And from there, you just make small changes. And without even counting a calorie, people can actually lose a significant amount of weight by just changing what they're eating. It just happens by default. And then what you can do to break through a plateau at one point is, all right, let's assess your macro count, your calorie deficit, and let's put you in that. Let's track some food. Let's get the digital food scale out, and let's go. So that's more for a obese person, I believe, a more morbidly obese type with several, close to maybe 100 pounds to lose or more. I think that's where we would want to go. I think that's beneficial to anybody too, because it keeps more freedom involved. You can just sort of track what you're doing and change something. An example is with a client before, they were having, I don't know, what was it, like 4 or 5 cans of Pepsi a day. And what we did, in addition to a meal plan they'd requested to have set for them, was also dwindle down that amount. I didn't tell them just, hey, let's stop drinking that. That's bad for you. Stop doing that. I don't do that. That's not right. What I did was, all right, you're having 5 a day. All right, starting when we start, I want you to knock it down to 4. Have 4 a day. And by the middle of that week, that person was already down to like 2 cans a day, just by having a person with accountability and less and less, because it was definitely damaging. And then just by that, they can lose pounds just by cutting out. That's easily 700 calories of liquid sugar that they just decided to cut out of their diet. And believe me, that can do wonders for you. And as a lifestyle change, to not drink that stuff, replace that with bubbly, that stuff. If you're used to Dr. Pepper, Coke, Pepsi, Sprite, things like that, stuff like bubbly, AHA, or LaCroix, whatever that is, might taste like shit to you at first. What you have to do is retrain those taste buds. That's another reason why flipping your diet from total garbage to pure, whole, healthy food overnight sucks so bad, because your palate is so used to salt, sugar, fat constantly, and usually high doses of that, very savory foods that we have here. You think fried chicken and burgers, and you can't do that and compete with a chicken breast with a little bit of salt on it. It's gonna taste terrible. So you got to ease it in. So that's really it. So one thing to do is notice that feeling, that motivation, that temporary motivation that tells you to change your whole life. You can listen to it, but do it realistically. Say, okay, this is what I want to do. I shouldn't go buy this crazy diet plan that I don't like. I shouldn't go spending an hour and a half on the treadmill every day. Forget it. I got to just assess what I'm doing, change it, talk to somebody, and go from there. So if you ever feel that way and you're a little lost on where to go, you can reach me. I'm on social media. It's at MFS Wellness. That'll be Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, whichever you prefer. I still use email quite regularly, old school email, mike@mfswellness.com. So any of those ways you want to get in touch with me, have a conversation, I'll always do a phone call with no cost at all, just to kind of discuss, and no sales pitch from me, just talk where you're at, tell you what I do, what we could do, how I would start the process with you. I don't have the same program for everybody, because it's not how life works. The same program, there's churned out diet programs, just don't fit for everybody. It's just the way it is. So it's individual. It's for you. You are the person that matters, your preferences, your lifestyle, and all of that. So until we get to the next episode, I want to thank everybody again who listens, and I really appreciate it. Send over any feedback you would like. I love to hear it, and we will see you on the next one.